Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Chineme Eliminator series. And have I got an amazing story for you guys today? I am speaking today with the amazing Chineme Noke all the way. I'm going to say, and I say all the way because I'm on the Gold Coast of Australia, so
Really?
all the way from London. We were just having a little bit of a chat in the studio, like behind the scenes, before we kind of jumped on here. And she was like, "Oh, you're in the future," and I get that often. So it's a Wednesday morning for me. Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
It's only Tuesday night for her. So if you guys want to ever know what's going on in the future, you know who to call. You can call me. I'll tell you that life is great. So I've having a little bit of a chat with Chineme in the green room before we jumped on here. Boy, I know that you guys are in for a treat because her experience and wealth of knowledge and the journey that she has had to get to the point that she's at today, where she's extremely successful and also as a woman that empowers other women. I just absolutely love that. So I know that what she's going to talk about today will definitely resonate with a lot of people, will definitely give you some inspiration and motivation to keep moving forward and strive for your dreams. So I want to welcome to the show. I want to welcome her story to the podium. Welcome to Chineme Noke.
Hi, thank you very much, Trace. It's lovely to be here.
Oh, you're welcome. It's great to have you here. Like I said to her, I've been waiting for this moment where I could actually have a bit of a chat with her. So let's talk a bit about your background, Chineme. So just fill us in on your upbringing, where you're from. So if you've always been in London, and sort of what was your career journey to get you to the point that you're at today?
Well, I was actually born in Nigeria, which is on the west coast of Africa. But I came over as a toddler. So, although my dad always says that we could speak the language fluently when we came, we was only toddlers. And he now says that we're more English than the English. But basically, I've been here for all of my life, and going through school, luckily I was always at the top of the class because I've always loved to read. I always loved to read. So reading anything, doesn't matter what it is, was it's good for me. I love doing it, whereas a lot of people, especially when they're young, they don't like doing that. But I did, and so I managed to do quite well in my exams and everything. But I'm from a family of 4 siblings. There's me, 2 sisters, and my brother. And before my brother came, it was just the 3 of us for a very long time. So I think my youngest she must have been 7 or 8 when my brother was born. So my dad had these 3 boisterous girls to deal with, even though he'd been longing for a boy. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So he used to take us to the park to play cricket, and and he always used to say to us, don't let anyone ever put you down. You're as good as everyone else, and because you're a woman. Can't do this, and because you're black doesn't mean that you can't do this. Just make sure that you go and do whatever you want to do. He really encouraged us, and so we turned out as very strong women, and also knowing what men were like. As he would say, don't tell your mother. But when of course he would protect us as girls, but obviously didn't say the wrong thing. But he made it into a joke. He said, don't tell your mum, but as she was, before they were married, as she was coming in the front door, there was another woman running out the back, so be very careful of these men, he used to say. And so we grew up not really, having that fairy tale image of, a knight in shining armor, because we knew what they were all about, you know what I mean? But he was a great laugh. We had such a great upbringing. We weren't rich. I mean, we were very poor, actually. My dad was a teacher. He was a qualified teacher in Nigeria. But when he came over here, such as the laws were at the time, he had to totally re-educate. He had to go to university and get his degree and everything in this country, even though he'd already had. So, well, he did that, but while he was putting himself through college, he was like a postman, and he used to do odd jobs. I remember it so vividly, even though I was a young child. I remember him coming in one day, and he'd been bitten by a dog, and the house was quiet, but he crept in, and it was quite small, so our bedrooms were almost all squashed together. And he was tending to his wounds. I said, "Oh, Daddy, what happened?" He said, "Shh, a little dog bit me, but it's all right. I'm here, it's all right." And I just remember that so vividly, because that's what he had to do. He had to go post letters and do odd jobs just to, keep us going and put him through college. Anyway, he qualified eventually and got a good job, and he managed to get to head of what they call them in school, headmasters, head teacher. Yeah, and we moved around a lot because of his job, but we had a happy but poor upbringing, but we had so much fun. All I can remember is the fun we used to have, and even with the neighbours, like it was the days where you could play out on the street and play scotch, and the road with your friends, and there were hardly any cars then back in the 70s.
I remember those days.
How old I am, but we could play in the road and without too much thing, and that's all I remember about that period. And the thing is, since the advent of Facebook and all this social media, we've all managed to link up again with our childhood friends. So, remember when this happened? Remember when that happened? It's been a lovely journey. Anyway, quite apart from that, so we were here, and my mother decided to go back home to Nigeria. She didn't really settle here, so she went back home, and then my dad just wanted to make sure that we were okay. So when we got of an age where it was clear that we were happy to leave home, he took our younger brother with him back to Nigeria, and so we were here, and we just set out on our own. And what my sisters and I, we used to run promotional events, like dances and pop shows, and we used to bring reggae stars over and American stars over from America and Jamaica and everything, and then hire these huge venues and put on the shows, promote them and everything. And that was a really fun part of our lives as well. And we then started to put on shows, like beauty contests, but for men. Our signature show was called the Mr. Super Cool contest, and it ran for about 10 years. It was featured on the BBC and all the press, and because we were all girls and very young girls as it was, we managed to get a lot of publicity for it. And again, that's something that lots of people remember with fond regard. Anyway, when I got to about 22, 23, a lot of my friends were, having children, getting married, just living together with people, and were kind of moving into the next phase of their life. But I wasn't ready for that. I really didn't want to settle down yet, and I'd always carried on learning. Like I learned to type when I was 15, and then I learned switchboards, and I used to do temp jobs all over the place. So I've got loads of experience in office work and office culture. And I'd always been clever, and I'd always wanted to be a lawyer, but it just never had the time because we were having so much fun doing other things. So I thought, well, let me go back to college and get my degree and take it from there, which I did. So I went back to college, got my degree. After that, I thought, well, perhaps I'll become a journalist. And I phoned up the Law Society and I said, look, I've got my law degree, honours. What can I do with it? And they said, what do you mean what you can do with it? I said, well, what kind of legal work can I do? And they said, well, you can do any kind of paralegal stuff, but you won't be qualified until you've actually done the lawyer's finals, which was another year, and then 2 years training, so 6 years in all. And I thought long and hard, and I thought, I might as well, I'm halfway down there now anyway. So I did the solicitors finals, and then I got a traineeship for the 2 years. And before I was even qualified, I had about 6 months left on my 2 years before I became qualified, but they promoted me to be head of a litigation department, which meant overseeing, being the manager of other qualified lawyers and other professionals, and that was fine. It didn't daunt me at all because they could see that I was ready for it. And because whatever I do, I like to do it well, and I like to properly, and I like to figure out the best way to do it, the quickest way to do it, the easiest way to do it, and perhaps even the most fun way of doing it, So when I come in and I see how things were working and they just didn't look like they were going right, I said, well, look, perhaps if we did this and perhaps if we did that, and because I was quite, some people would get resented because of that, but I think because I was just so down to earth and so young and so full of life and just wanting to have fun, it's like a breath of fresh air is what I was told. And so I was getting them to change a few procedures and change the way they did things. you know, it worked okay because they could see it was better for them too. Anyway, so I stayed for a couple of years after I qualified, and I just wanted something more. You know, I've always wanted something more. You know, once I get to a place where I felt that I've done everything I could do, I need to do more. I need to achieve more and learn more. You know, so I actually went out on my own, almost like a consultant. You know, because I had really good you know, testimonials, what they call references. So what I did was I didn't go into a permanent job. I went for temporary positions, you know, like a consultant with different organisations. You know, first of all, to see how other places worked, because that was my first real job. Because before then, I used to do temp work, you know, typing, computers, and going here and there and just having a laugh. But this was my first really serious job because I was now a professional, you know, although I looked about 12 at the time. Anyway, so I went to all these different places and really had a lot of fun. A lot of the time, they'd call me back to come and carry on doing what they were doing. We had a lot of locums, actually, that came from Australia and New Zealand. And so whenever they went back for a holiday, say for 4 weeks or something, they'd call, "Oh, Chineme, can you come back?" And because I wasn't tied down to anything, I could. So I did that for a long time. And then there came a time where I thought, well, perhaps it'd be nice to get something nearer home, you know, stop traveling everywhere and kind of settle down in a job, you know. So that's what I did. Something quite near to me came up. It's a principal lawyer in a local government, public sector organisation. So it's quite big, but relatively to where I've been before, it's quite a small legal department, you know. Anyway, so I started there and loved it, did the same as I was doing before, you know, sorting everything out. So it wasn't just the law, it was management and leadership, you know. And once you lead and they feel that you care about them, you get so much more out of people because we'll, you know, do it all together. And then, of course, you get noticed. Now, the chief executive of the whole organization, because we were just the legal department, so the rest of the departments were our clients, you know. Now, the chief executive, you know, right at the top, came over to see the borough solicitor, who was my boss, and said, "Look, is it possible for Chineme to come over and work with me for a while?" And they said, "Well, in what capacity?" Because usually you have to advertise and go through all these procedures and, you know, equal opportunities, blah blah blah. But I think they felt that because I was a black woman anyway, you know, who could object? Anyway, so the borough solicitor called me and said, "Look, Chineme, Mark wants to have a word with you." And I said, "Oh, really? What about?" He said, "Well, he wants you to go and work with him for a while." I said, "Okay." Well, he wants his own personal lawyer, which is what the borough solicitor was. He said, "No, not really. He just wants you to be his it was called his professional assistant." It was a 12-month thing, so I was getting away for 12 months. The same organisation, but a different place. And it just seemed like such an adventure for me because there were no rules. You know, I went in and, you know, I said, "Well, what exactly would you like me to do?" He said, "Well, Chineme, I need organising, I need assisting, and, you know, I just want you to help me out, sort this place out, help me out. And then when I have to go to meetings, because you always have to go up to Parliament, to CMPs and all different organisations, because obviously it's public sector. I used to go with him to all these places and met loads of really interesting people. It was amazing. Anyway, after the 12 months was up, he decided he needed me for just a little bit longer. So I ended up staying 2 years, after which I actually went back to where I was before. And although, I mean, things were pretty much the same, but, you know, the law had moved on and some of the personnel had changed as well. But I went back and it was okay. You know, I tried to, you know, get it all going smoothly again. But then I had my daughter, right? So I was there for 8 years in all. So I had my daughter within that time. But when she was, when she was 3 years old, I was kind of headhunted for one of the corporations that I had worked for briefly 10 years ago when I was doing consultancy work, because they wanted a change maker. They wanted, because the whole legal department was going to be moving from one building to another, and, you know, they had bad reputation. They wanted someone that was going to lead with authority. And anyway, so But I had to apply. I had to apply for the position. They just let me know it was available. So I applied and consequently got the job. Now, this was right over the other side of London. It was far, but I used to drive everywhere anyway. But the only difference is now I had to take my daughter to nursery in the morning, and then she'd go on from there to, when she did start school, it was preschool, or what they do beforehand, and then they had their lessons, and then she'd go to after school club, and then someone would take her home, and then I would go and pick her up, and it became really, really difficult, Not just difficult, because as I saw her progressing, and and like she's very sociable, so she loved school, and it was a mainstream school as well, but I just wanted to be somewhere else, like I said. So in the end, I did leave and became a governor at the school and did all sorts of things. But then before I left, now this brings us right up until this Chineme thing, because all through my professional life, I've been discriminated against, but unluckily for them, I'm the person that used to get 100% in my exams. So all my testimonials, references, and that were really, really brilliantly good, so, and then of course I also had all the experience that I had even in that corporation, because it was this corporation that they called me to come over to change everything, which I did. When I first got there, oh my God, it was awful. The energy was so horrible. I always describe it as being, trying to wade through mud. It was that bad. People weren't just unhappy; they were angry. You know what I mean? They didn't enjoy their jobs. They felt unappreciated. They weren't appreciated, and the place was awful. And well, first of all, I mean, some of the people that were there when I was there 10 years ago were still there. But of course there was lots of new people as well. So some of them knew how I used to operate. In fact, some of my procedure notes were still being used. So I thought, well, the first thing we'll do is update those. So it's kind of like I came in and kind of changed things for them, so that it was I can't even explain it. It was dire. It was so not a place that you'd want to be. Not just the atmosphere and the bad equipment and everything, but the the paint was peeling off the walls, and it was just horrible. It was just awful. Anyway, so it was quite clear to me why they had such a bad reputation and things weren't working. The photocopiers didn't even work properly. Now, imagine this is a huge legal department who deals with a lot of litigation, civil and criminal litigation, as well as the planning, the social services, the education, the employment, all this, right? And we were the lawyers, and all the departments were our clients. And we had such a bad reputation. A lot of the lawyers didn't want to, a lot of the clients, the directors didn't want to send their stuff to legal. They thought, well, is it possible for us to get someone else? Right. It was awful. Really, really outrageous. Anyway, so I tried to convince my senior management team, who were the corporate directors and the borough solicitor, that things had to change. If you want more productivity, you've got to really change the way that things are done here, and it has a lot to do with the staff being happy, and they thought, what do you mean? They come here to do a job, they get paid. And I said, no, if they're not happy, they're not going to do a good job. And if they're in dingy surroundings, they're not going to do a good job. If the equipment they have keep breaking down and everything, so they can't actually do the job that they're supposed to be doing, it just breaks their morale, and then they're not going to care. If they see that you don't care, then they're not going to care. And so what I wanted to do was refurbish the whole place and get new equipment and all that. And they said, well, you're going to have to make a really good case for that. And I said, fine, because I wanted to do a report anyway, but I realized the best way to do it was to get outside accreditation. So what I did, I enrolled at the organization's expense. I enrolled on a postgraduate diploma in management studies, within which I knew there was you have to do like an empiric investigation, a dissertation, and then produce concrete results, So I did all that, and I it was about the legal department that I was in, and it's called the morale and motivation of within this organization's legal services, and the hypothesis was is motivation enough for people to produce good work, or is morale something that needs to be looked at too? Yeah, something like that, and then you got to pose the question. But that's because I knew what I was going to prove, but it had to be specific, and it dealt specifically with the department. And so because I had to do all these empirical studies, I had to interview every single person in the legal department. It's over 50 of them, and they were so reluctant, so reticent. They said, "Oh no," because they just didn't trust anybody, but I assured them, I gave them my word that they wouldn't be identified. It's a blind study. All we're going to have is your what you say, and so I can add up all the results and everything and just produce the results. So you have to be really honest with me. If you're not happy, say why. If that's how it doesn't work, say why. Your names won't be mentioned at all. So eventually, they trusted me enough to do it, and every single one of them took part. And so I collated all this evidence, all this information. I was up all night, many nights, on the computer, doing all these pie charts and all this. And in the end, I produced a work of art, as far as I'm concerned. And that was the main part, but it's just part of the actual program, for the diploma. And so we did the other bits, I remember one being project management and other things I felt that were really kind of boring, but I did them and passed them. But the main thing, which is what I wanted, was this survey, this result. And luckily I got an A for the actual thing and an A overall for the whole course. So obviously I could go back now and say, well, here you go. And it was accredited by the university, London Metropolitan University, and they said, wow, okay. So I went to the board again, because everything takes so long. And, I had to present it and present my findings and everything. And they said, well, what can we say? I said, well, really, I shouldn't have had to do this, because the legal department is actually the hub. It's the heartbeat of the whole council. Because nothing that we do, nothing that the organisation can do outside of the law. There's a law for everything that they do, And so they've got to come to legal for everything. So anyway, in the end, long story short, the whole place was refurbished. They got new equipment. Everything was lovely, and people were actually singing at work, and everything changed. Right. So that was within 2 years. So within 2 years, I'd gone there. I'd tried to lift up their spirits and changed a lot of the attitudes. Did my postgraduate diploma. Got all the evidence. Got them to come in and do the work that needed to be done, and so we were in a lovely place. People would like to come into work. It was nice, and we was all having fun, and even things like very unconventional, even like team meetings, and we'd have them once a week with the whole team. But they took it. I gave them turns to be the chair of the panel, so I hardly ever chaired the meeting. I gave them the duty to do it, so they got that experience as well, like going around to everybody, finding out what they wanted to put on the agenda, and then we're trying to work out. And they loved it. They loved it. Stuff they didn't have to do before, but it gave them a bigger picture of what they were working towards. It shows the cohesion of the team. Anyway, so we did all that, and everything was going swimmingly. And like I say, I began to, because I used to love what I do, I really did. But then when my daughter was getting to 4 and 5 years old, and I was just felt that I was missing so much of her life. I was a single parent by then, because me and her father, split up. And I didn't have much support from anywhere else either. So it was really difficult, but I'd have to pay for someone to go. If I was stuck in a meeting, I have to phone someone and say, oh, please, can you go and collect her? I'll pay you so much an hour, blah, blah, blah. And that's how it was. So I was missing a lot of her day, because in the morning it's just get washed, dressed, breakfast, and then off, and then whole day. In the evening, we're back home, give her a dinner, and then she's gone to bed, and I'll probably be working on something for the next day. But it wasn't enough. She was so cute. She's so jolly and everything, and I was just missing it all. So I wanted to leave anyway. So there became a time, about 2.5 years in, where by then I was encouraging the other women lawyers that, good people, but they just weren't valued until I came along, and I made them visible as well to all the other departments, to say, look, they're not just someone on the other end of the phone or statistics. These are actual human beings, and they're here to serve you, and they're really well qualified and everything. And it just raised the whole reputation of the legal department. We were winning awards corporately for the best team and stuff like that. And we even won a national award for one of the cases that I had used some creative knowledge as well as the law to say, look, if this is that, then this is that. We should be able to do that. It goes without saying. And so that the precedent that was set got national recognitions in the Law Society magazine, and all over the country. The legal services, blah blah blah, did this.
Wow.
And we were getting plaudits all the time. We were getting bottles of champagne and flowers from the directors of the other departments. It had totally changed within 3 years. Anyway, so about the time when I was getting a bit restless, this opportunity came up to act fully as head of law, because before I was deputy, I was the principal lawyer and deputy head of law. So I could say that, well, if I do get it, then I can leave as having got to the top, you know what I mean? So, and then that was something else to give me a bit more excitement. So I thought, well, I might as well apply for it. Now, the criteria, is out of me, a black woman, principal solicitor, deputy head of law, and a white male who was the principal solicitor in like a planning department. So he had like perhaps 3 staff, whereas I had almost 50. And anyway, so we went through the shortlist and everything. Obviously, we both got shortlisted. There was just the 2 of us. And, I went to the interview, and I mean, they know me. They know what I'd achieved and everything. And we were good. Well, we were friends. I thought we were friends, but I think I said at the beginning that it was heartbreaking what happened, the way it happened, because at the beginning when these things happen, I say, how dare they, and then I'd be off the court and win and then go back again, because I've always been very confident. Anyway, this happened, when I'd done so much for so many people, and I'd been headhunted here, and even they headhunted me to come back there and sort the place out, and they were getting plaudits and everything. Anyway, a few days after, I got the news that I hadn't, I didn't get the job, and it went to the other person. Now, all the directors were saying, Chineme, you're head and shoulders above anybody in the legal department. They couldn't believe that this had happened. I said, well, that's the way these things work. But I knew that it wasn't right. I knew it wasn't right, and they should know me enough to know that I wasn't going to leave it there. Now, by then, before you could go to court, you had to have an internal review process. So I said, okay, I'm going to take the organisation, the legal department, but it is the organisation, to court for both race and sex discrimination. And I managed to get all the documents that I needed, to go through to build my case. Within that, I realised for the first time, I think a lot of the people in the department realised that this other man wasn't even a qualified lawyer, right? I think he was a legal executive, but it was specific that the head of law had to be either a solicitor or a barrister, and he wasn't, right? So that should have precluded him anyway, which meant I would have got a job. Anyway, so they let him go through, and then by some magic, he got the job, and he was never thought of as being very dynamic or anything. But then I see a lot of the time, that's what they want. They want someone that's not going to shine in their absence. You know what I mean? Anyway, that was number one. And the other thing that was really outrageous in the documentation was that they actually discussed the fact that I had a disabled daughter. And that was a discussion they had. They said, well, is she really up to it? Blah, blah, blah. Well, I've been up to it for the past 3 years. You know what I mean? And so not only was it race and sex, I then added disability discrimination to it too. Right. So I had an even better case. I'm like, it was open and shut, really. Now, when I pointed out to them, it wasn't a long thing, just a short brief, because I didn't get a lawyer. I did it all myself. Just a short thing to say, number one, he wasn't qualified for the job. Number two, well, he's a white man, I'm a black woman, so it's race and sex. Because the reason that I didn't get it had to be race, sex, and also it shows from the documents the fact that I have a disabled child.
Yes.
So, and so now they're starting to panic now. So they brought in their lawyer. You know, the legal department has a head of law and all of us, but they brought in outside city lawyers to come to negotiate for them. I suppose they would have said it was a conflict of interest.
I think they might have realised they met their match, huh?
Oh, absolutely. And it just so happened that the head of law at the city firm was someone that I knew from a long time ago. So he said, "Oh, Chineme, when they said that they were having problems, I didn't know it was you." I said, "Oh," they said I was a problem, did they? And like he knew of my history and everything, but we said, look, we won't, let's just be professional, Anyway, so he was coming to the meetings and everything, and he was very laid back anyway, but he wanted them, I think he was trying to impress them to say, well, Chineme, it seems that you wrote an email to your staff which said that what the head of law had done wasn't good, and that you're not supposed to do that sort of thing, blah blah blah. And I said, well, let's see what the judge says when we get to court. Let's see what he says. First of all, getting back to the issue, race discrimination, sex discrimination, disability discrimination, and the fact that the guy wasn't even qualified for the job anyway. Let's see what the judge says about that, shall we? Well, let's wrap up all this now and let's go. And he said, oh no, hold on. Surely we can negotiate a decent settlement. And I said, oh, you're talking about settlement now. And they said, well, if you would have liked to have the job. And I said, well, I don't think so. Now that I know that you're going to treat me in this way, after all these years of experience, after I'm better than the borough solicitor, after I'm, all the directors loved me and wanted me to be their borough solicitor, there's no way that I could carry on working for this corporation. And that, it's almost like the universe aligned to help me out, because I was walking into the abyss, but I was happy to do so before because I just wanted to be with my daughter. I didn't care about the profession. But now I managed to negotiate a 6-figure settlement just so that I wouldn't go to court, and they made me sign one of those non-disclosure agreements. The only reason I'm talking about it now is because it had been mentioned somewhere. I thought, oh great, I can talk about it now. And that's how, so even though I was qualified and they knew I was qualified, and I'd had all this past experience in the chief executive office and, getting headhunted, and even they had headhunted me, and the directors really singing my praises, all the staff loving me and saying, oh, she's the best thing that we've ever had. And even though the she-myth still raised its ugly head, they just wanted a man. They wanted a man in that position. They didn't care that he was a bit thick. They just wanted a man to represent them, and I would contend a white man. So, the thing is, I suppose the moral of the story is, it's not just young people, it's not just newbies. You can be really experienced and brilliant at your job, but they will still rather have a man than you. But the thing is, what I would say to every single woman, female out there that comes across anything like this is challenge it. Don't ever, I know it's, a lot of people have told me that it's terrifying, and even my mother was saying to me, for the first one I took, which was a huge one because it's against the government legal services, but that's a story for another day. And I was young then, won it, and was in all the national newspapers. Even then, I was ready to fight then, but right at the end, there was a sadness. I thought, God, even now, even now, I said, well, just give me some money, see ya. And what was good about that is that I could say to my team and to the directors, because of the way they treated me, it's untenable for me to carry on working here, and, they just thanked me so much for what I'd done. I got so many presents, and I actually cried when I left, but I was glad that I didn't just hand in my notice and go. because it would have felt as though I was abandoning them, you know?
You know, the thing, Chineme, the stories that you've told today, like in terms of, your upbringing, your dad being like really, really supportive of who you are and was building you up to have the confidence to be able to challenge things, that
Absolutely.
it kind of, it was almost a full circle, right? So dad giving you that confidence to do that, and then working your way through your career and sort of having all of these little obstacles that come up, but you being able to stand up for yourself and then stand firm on what it is that you actually believe in, and then being able to do all the things that you did that made you uniquely you to actually stand out. You're like the classic, as far as the book is concerned, when we talk about standing up, standing firm, and standing out. I mean, you did all of those things, and that message where you feel like, okay, so even though I'm a lawyer, right, the message you've got for others is that if something is not right, you challenge it. You stand up and you stand firm to what your beliefs are, and if something is not right, challenge it and move forward with that level of confidence in who you are. And that obviously has held you in really good stead over many years in your career, and then now outside in the entrepreneurial world that you're in now. Those morals and those you having that very solid values of what you believe in and what to be right. You've been able to really ensure that you've lived your life in that manner.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've never been able to stand injustice. I remember even at nursery school, when I saw someone being bullied, I would say, stop it, you can't do that. And, I would always stand up for the underdog. I've always been like that anyway, so, and I've never, and I think, because of my dad, I've never thought I was inferior to anyone else, because I'm not. I'm not inferior to anybody, Well, perhaps another time I'll tell you the story, which I've told Vicky already. I was on a show and I told the story of the government legal services one. And I mean, that was kind of funny, but this was more sad, but I was happy to walk away with some cash that I could just relax. And then it's when I started working online, doing affiliate marketing. And
what I'll do with that particular story, because if that's that's a great kind of segue into what we've been talking about today, we'll put in the comment section below the link to that show. And for those of you that are interested, you can go back and you can actually watch the entire interview that Vicky and Chineme had together and the conversation that they had, because I'm sure you'll also enjoy that. I want to wrap up today with one piece of advice. Like, if there was a piece of advice that you would like to give to other women out there, what would that piece of advice be?
It would be to don't just know your worth, show your worth. You've got to be able to stand up and hold your ground, hold your corner. Let them, whoever they may be. Because I mean, sometimes women can be worse than the men because they don't want anyone, getting too close to where they are, but let them know that what they're doing and you don't appreciate what they're doing and you're just here to do your job. You want to excel. So, you stay in your corner, I'll stay in mine. You've got to get that strength of that conviction about who you are.
Yes.
That you can hold your own, because I've come across a lot of bullying in the workplace and trying to make people feel small, and I just can't stand it. I can't stand it. So I mean, even my friends, even my family, there's one particular one, and they know who they are, who is very rude to people. Oh God. And I have to say to her, don't you ever talk to anybody like that in my presence. I'm just not having it. There's no need for people to be like that. Do you know what I mean? There's absolutely no need for people to be nasty.
Absolutely not. You can be kind and caring, and I think that was a big part of the story that you told today, that the missing component in that organization that you went to was the care factor. And as soon as you kind of injected that care factor back into everything that they did, all of a sudden that allowed the people within that organization to flourish. So I think that care factor, just being kind and caring, goes a long long way. I want to say thank you so much for being here today. It's been fascinating listening to your story, your history. Really
Thank you for having me.
Oh,
And
you're welcome.
congratulations on the book. It's absolutely
Thank you very
phenomenal.
much.
Yeah.
We're really
I wanted to say that I loved it all, every single bit. It was a real page turner. I could finish it in a couple of hours, But the bit that I really loved was the inner genius, champion, those categories and everything. I thought that was really good because
my favorite parts too.
Yeah, and then you start looking at people and saying, "All right, they must be this, and perhaps they're this," and it was very, very good. Yeah.
Well, guys, if you're wondering what Chineme and I are talking about there, or what we're referring to when she's talking about the inner genius and then the champion, you're going to buy the book. So you're going to get your hands on a copy of the book. See it just below here, Amazon.com or Amazon.com.au are the places for you to go. Paperback, hardback, and also the ebook version is available. And once you read the book, like Chineme said, I mean, I'm glad that she found it a real page turner. I'm hoping you guys will too. When you read it, it will give you the strength, the courage, and the conviction that is already inside of you. Will enable you to allow you to kind of bring that out so that you can to stand up, stand firm, and stand out in the world of business. So thank you so much, Chineme, for being here today. Thank you, everybody else. We will see you back again, 8 a.m. Brisbane, Australia time, for another She Myth Eliminator story. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.